A frontline miracle. A soldier appealed to French President Macron and he listened. Caesar howitzers will now tear up the ground beneath the occupiers' feet at the front. It's hard to believe. The Orikhiv direction is now covered. This has the Russians shaking. Our guys just smile quietly. What tasks does this French beast easily accomplish on the front line? All the details in just a moment.
Listen and watch. This is a Ukrainian soldier who is in the trenches just 3 kilometers from Zaporizhzhia on the front line. He addressed you.
Everyone is very tired. We, the military, are destroyed.
Dmytro didn't know that President Macron himself would be in the studio. The appeal of the Ukrainian soldier from the trenches was recorded by French journalists.
For this, we need weapons, that's all. Weapons give us motivation, and even though we're tired, well, we're here, doing our job. We don't really pay much attention. We try not to pay attention to the information space because sometimes it can be demotivating. That's it. And most importantly, it's to focus on our goal, to destroy the enemy and drive them out.
A professional dancer in the past, he performed on stage with domestic stars. In 2022, he volunteered to go to the front.
No combat experience at all. We learned everything directly as it all began. The only experience I had from civilian life was actually flying drones.
Now Dmytro is fighting in the Orikhiv direction and is hoping for that same French artillery for his unit. It was the French Caesar artillery systems, so desperately needed by our troops at the front, that Macron promised during a broadcast on a French channel.
They're, let's say, 105mm ones. They're more precise, they're made. You see, even the shells. I've seen this for myself. That's why a Soviet shell flies poorly, a Soviet one. Why? Because they make them with whatever materials are at hand, as they say. That is, they're made roughly, while with those, every shell is weighed to the millimeter. The gunpowder is also measured the same way. This is very important. Their artillery, well, it's excellent.
Taras, even though he's an infantryman, knows the value of howitzers. More than once, such guns saved him and the guys during the offensive in Zaporizhzhia. He will never forget that summer offensive because they had to advance on well-fortified underground cities.
The Surovikin line is mined to such an extent. There are hundreds of kilometers of trenches and dugouts here, and there are entire engineering structures. It's not just like that for no reason. Can you imagine that in every grove there are 2 dugouts?
He has 4 wars behind him: Afghanistan, Karabakh, Transnistria. Now he holds the line in Zaporizhzhia. This sturdy, short man personally evacuated 40 wounded comrades through a minefield during the battles for Nesteryanka and survived.
Over the radio they say we have casualties, we have a lot of wounded. And what should we do? The commander looks at me. Well, I took a Nissan Patrol, a pretty good vehicle, and went across the minefield right from Nesteryanka itself. I pulled out 7 men then, and later on the other flank I pulled out another 3. I made 5 or 6 trips, I don't remember exactly. That time I evacuated more than 20 men, guys from the Special Operations Forces.
Taras was nominated for the title Hero of Ukraine. They call him the Spaniard. He lived in Barcelona for 20 years. He had a job, left everything behind and came to the war.
Everyone was surprised that I left, especially since I didn't go when I was young. I went when I was 55. And why did you leave? I really love Ukraine. Honestly, Ukraine is really, really awesome. But somehow it turned out that I, an officer of the armed forces of Ukraine, had to leave my homeland and go abroad to earn a living.
Taras is an officer who led companies into the offensive, a modest hero who is still out in the fields with the guys as an equal. Not just as a commander, but as a brother in arms. Taras doesn't know Dmytro personally, but he saw the broadcast with the French president and is also waiting for weapons. As for Dmytro, after what he went through in the war, he decided not to return to dancing anymore.
Dancing? Hardly. My perception of the world has changed a bit. My whole outlook on life, really. Some things have become more important and others less so.
Ruslan Yaromlyuk, Mikhailo Putyata, TSN 1+1, Marathon United News.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine today. Join us now.
The Ukrainian armed forces are striking the enemy infantry and mortars are pounding the enemy without mercy. A weak spot was found. Grads and cannons broke through the defenses. They really went all out. This is payback for Bakhmut. Our forces are pressing on. Russian intelligence is going crazy at this pace and can't warn about the danger in time. More details about the widespread panic among Putin's mercenaries at the front in the following report.
Right now, it's that time when we only have FPV drones. And at the moment, that's the most effective thing when we're moving between positions.
With a shotgun at the ready, the officer from the 173rd Battalion, call sign Bilka, is pleased that thanks to the dense greenery, it's hard to spot us from above.
Have you already had to make adjustments?
I have. But thank God it didn't spot us. It flew further on.
It's a bit safer in the trenches.
We're heading to the close firing position MT-12.
We met the officer with the call sign Soma last month. Back then, the artillerymen of the 120th Territorial Defense Brigade were shelling the occupiers with the latest Grad Sokil systems.
Fire.
A rocket, damn!
And this is their old Rapira.
Our loyal breadwinner, always there.
Why breadwinner?
Well, because we work with it. It gives us work.
It's relatively quiet here today, so the 100mm anti-tank gun is resting.
This gun is from the year. It's very old, but it still, works and performs well on the job. The infantry and the enemy are the main targets, that's it. Enemy shelters. Wherever we can reach when we get the order, we gladly get to work.
Fire. Shot.
Go.
That's it, shot.
We work according to orders on enemy positions and...
42-year-old Vinnytsia native, call sign Serko, is working at a neighboring position with a mortar.
Go, Serko!
Oh, nice. There are more than enough munitions available, you know. In fact, there's a steady and constant supply of ammunition coming in at all times, without any interruption whatsoever.
Despite the heavy fighting he's been through, the father of three feels a bit shy in front of the camera, but still decides to take the opportunity to send greetings to his loved ones.
Hello to my wife and kids. Natalochka, I love you very much.
Behind the soldiers of the 173rd Battalion of the 120th Territorial Defense Brigade, which is now subordinated to the 65th Brigade, lies the hell of Bakhmut.
This was when we were already leaving Bakhmut.
This is Bilka's video from May 2023. All around there are ruins and smoke from fires.
They were bombarding us with incendiary rounds from Grads.
The officer claims that their battalion was among the last defenders to leave Bakhmut.
Our scout, Alexander, whose call sign was Yojik, personally led the last groups out of Bakhmut. They left through the ravine near the ponds. He got the final groups out.
The 42-year-old volunteer from Vinnytsia is convinced the Russians are deceitful, so he doesn't believe that they truly want to stop the war.
You can tell by their actions that they don't want to stop. They want to seize more territory. That's my firm opinion. This can only be stopped by force.
Currently, the soldiers of the 173rd Battalion need funds to repair vehicles that often break down on the frontline roads. So they are asking those who care to join the fundraising effort. Every hryvnia is a lifeline for our defenders. Andrei Pochty, Artem Dezhenkov, Fakti, ICTV, United News.
Finally, the enemy's Lancet has been consigned to oblivion. A Ukrainian innovation has changed everything. The Russians are in a panic. Bulava is already at the front, scattering the enemy in all directions. The electronic warfare systems of Putin's mercenaries aren't working. The pilots have mastered these birds so well that they could fly them with their eyes closed. Which high-value targets have already been hit, and which important ones are now in their sights? All of this is covered in the report. Watch right now.
It turns out that Russia cannot be exhausted. It will always look for new targets.
That's why we have to be ready for anything.
There are already some very high-value targets. There are captured Book M3s, TORs, enemy electronic warfare systems. This is Pole 21.
The Bulava Strike reconnaissance complexes have already completed more than 100 combat missions on the battlefield.
There is an old rule in the military that a weapon should be at least 4 times cheaper than the target it is meant to destroy. If it's a book, then it's probably hundreds of times cheaper. If it's enemy electronic warfare equipment, it's dozens of times cheaper. And if it's artillery, it's also dozens of times cheaper.
This is a new invention by a Ukrainian manufacturer. The kamikaze drone is capable of carrying a warhead weighing up to 4 kilograms and can strike targets at a distance of up to 60 kilometers. The creator of this development is Denis Chumachenko.
The crew first launches a reconnaissance aircraft into the air. This is the Lelika 100 Minotosla. They fly out to the target area and locate the target. If everything is okay and they are ready to proceed, the reconnaissance aircraft remains within the vicinity of the target, roughly in the target area, and serves as a relay. From the position where the guys are working, or from a neighboring position, the strike component of the system takes off. This is our aircraft called Bulava, and the operator guides the Bulava to the target area, where our reconnaissance relay aircraft is also nearby.
It was the military who encouraged Denis to create the Bulava. They approached him with a request to develop a strike drone similar to the enemy's Lancet, but the Ukrainian invention exceeded almost all the soldiers' expectations.
The X-shaped tail helps maintain the aircraft's controllability at almost any angle, including angles of attack on the target. One of the most interesting and truly remarkable components of the strike system known as Bulava is quite precisely its advanced reconnaissance and targeting system, which plays a crucial role in its operation. It is in fact a sophisticated two-axis gyro-stabilized gimbal equipped with a powerful 25 times optical zoom.
The aircraft can stay in the air for up to 50 minutes with a maximum flight altitude of about 2,000 meters and can reach speeds of up to 100 kilometers per hour. The drone also has high resistance to electronic warfare.
Regarding the Bulava, it is the first codified reconnaissance and strike complex in Ukraine. Currently, there are already several groups of regular operators using it. We are conducting training for it.
In addition to developing and manufacturing strike and reconnaissance aircraft, the company also trains pilots.
Our center also provides training on our reconnaissance systems, the Leleka 100 and 100 Mechin, where servicemen receive instruction immediately after completing their basic general military training at training centers. And we also train experienced pilots who are retraining to operate these systems, as well as the crews of the Bulava.
The Bulava carried out its first combat mission at the beginning of this year. Meanwhile, the developers are already working on improvements to the system, and the next model is expected to replace the need for foreign weaponry where it is currently required.
In future modifications of the Bulava, the plan is to increase the combat payload, meaning the ammunition will be larger, not 3 or 6 kilograms, but 5 kilograms, and for it to be able to fly further up to a distance of 90 kilometers. Because HIMARS is great for striking at 90 kilometers, but there are many targets where you need to work with precision. When there's a Bukhanka van with an enemy crew, they send a HIMARS, but it's very expensive and it should be used for other kinds of targets. It must have aerial volumes. But when you need to find and neutralize an enemy Bukhanka van at 90 kilometers, that's a job for loitering munitions. So that's exactly the kind of task for the Bulava.
Olena Maneliuk, Mikhailo Maneliuk, Volodymyr Samchenko, Yaroslav Zasoba. Details on Inter TV channel, Marathon,